and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda tonight is the public hearing. It's to hear public testimony and comment regarding, one, increasing the non-resident parking fees from $20 to $40 per day, and increasing the non-resident boat fees from $45 to $50 at Chase Park. And to two, reducing this, that'll come afterwards, and we'll go on to that. Okay, first one is for Chase Park. Janine, it's all yours.
Good evening. Janine Lynch, Parks and Rec Chairman. Tonight we're here to talk about possibility of increasing the out-of-town fees for Chase Park. Thank you. These are, the proposed fees are in yellow.
Thank you.
And a hand sanitizer if you want to pass it on.
Yeah.
If anybody in the audience would like one, they're in here. So, as was stated, we're currently proposing $40 for out-of-town non-resident cars and $50 for out-of-town non-resident boats, jet skis. Residents are currently supporting Chase Park with their tax dollars and also paying a parking fee to utilize Chase Park, and then to be turned away with a lot filling up currently by 9:30 in the morning and seeing a lot of non-residents there. For example, this Sunday morning, when staff arrived 30 minutes to open, there was 30 minutes prior to opening, there was 15 cars in line already, and 10 of which were non-resident cars. So by raising our fee to $40, will no longer be the least expensive option for a car with more than 4 people in it. Will be more expensive than the surrounding state parks. Hopefully, this will encourage some to use New Hampshire state parks with the 5,900 miles of shoreline and riverfront that they offer, including Clough State Park being 900 feet of shoreline right down the street, freeing up Chase Park that only has 100 feet of shore, barely, for more residents. Questions for me, or should I sit down?
You got any questions? The history of the non-residents, has it been more and more increasing in this year, or is it the same over the past few years, or you just see more of an increase this year?
We're seeing a more, I don't have this year's tallies, I have last year. It does tend to increase a little bit more every year for the non-residents, especially since we saw Glen Lake close to non-residents a couple years ago. Once you drive by there, we're not far.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
Not at this time.
I guess we'll open it up to the public. You step up to the podium and state your name and address and
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Cowie. I live on Upper Craney Hill Road in Ware, New Hampshire. I am a resident since 1981 here in the town, and I use the park very, very frequently. I was a little concerned about the extreme rate increase, particularly for weekday use of the park.
well, I mean, are you talking about for residents or non-residents?
Non-residents as well, residents. Okay,
The hearing is specifically for the non-resident part.
yes.
Okay. Because we already had a hearing
Residents,
on the.
all right, the residents in Ware do not use the park as much during the weekday to cause a backup of concern, except for maybe a hot day like today, for people from the town to not access the park because of out-of-town residents. Weekdays are usually not a major problem. The weekends are the problem. And as a resident of the town, I have no qualms at all about the increase in the rate for out-of-town residents using the facility at $40 or more a day, or even the boat launch. But as far as weekday non-resident, I think it's very extreme given the economic climate of today. The fact that it's not a major issue at the park with residents and non-residents during the weekdays. So that's my presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Good evening. Richard Buck. I'm a little concerned about the process, and not so much what the purpose is. And the purpose seems to be to discourage non-residents from coming into Chase Park. Statements have been made over the past few weeks in regards to that, and I think a statement tonight also indicated that. But raising a fee is not the way to do that. The fee really should reflect the cost of the service that's being provided. And you should know, to some extent, what the cost of the service is and make sure that the fee is proportionate. Rough numbers, the cost of the gatekeepers down there is running about 24 grand, somewhere in there. And the revenue that we get from Chase Park, including boat fees, is somewhere in the 20 range, so they're close to covering the cost of the gatekeepers, but there are other costs associated with the park. And the board really should, on an annual basis, review the fee structure to make sure it's covering the cost of the service that's being provided. As far as the fees and a legal definition of what a fee is, and I'm reading from a document from Local Government Center. In order to be valid, a fee must bear relation to and approximate the expense of performing the function. In addition to that, therefore, whenever a new or modified fee is contemplated, the municipality must find authority to charge for the service under an enabling state statute, which there is, and then must set the fee in an amount which bears a reasonable relationship to the cost of providing the service. Now, I think that you'd be hard-pressed to tell me that the cost of processing a non-resident to go into the park should be increased by 100% over what the cost of, and even more, over the cost of a resident. It's the same cost. This isn't a fee increase. This is a surcharge. It probably should be used, and I would suggest that maybe you consider using the word surcharge. Again, I don't necessarily disagree, and I don't, certainly not demeaning to any of the members of the Park and Rec or any of the volunteers in this town. There also seems to be a question regarding the deed and interpretation of the deed, as when it comes to determining whether or not the deed was turned, the property which Chase Park is on now is just for resident use. I know it said something about for the public of where, and I understand, I've gone through this before, that means that anybody who's driving through Ware and stops can go into Chase Park. I have a problem with that because Horace Chase, who donated the land to the project back in the 38 it actually was, I believe, wasn't a transient. I mean, he'd lived here, I believe, for most of his life, found the land. He wasn't coming in from New Jersey on weekends to just, vacate here. So I think his intent probably was to leave it to the residents of the town. And I would hope that the board maybe would consider, if it already hasn't been done, go to, I believe, probate court and request a change to the deed to reflect residents of the town of Ware as opposed to the public of Ware. I think one of the problems with the language in the 30s and interpreting the language today, we have too many lawyers. So it becomes more difficult to get a common sense interpretation. But having said that regarding the deed, and your interpretation of the deed, at the June 29th meeting, you actually banned non-residents from going into the park.
No, I don't believe we did. And I think that's getting a little far afield as far as like the deed and banning people. We banned walk-ins.
Only non-resident walk-ins.
Yeah, non-resident walk-ins, because they were parking on the road and to avoid other fees to come walking in,
Whether they
so.
walk in, drive in, bicycle in, or
Yeah.
come in on a horse.
But that's-
They're non-residents.
right.
Regarding,
But they were
regardless of
ban-
the conveyance.
It wasn't banned, it wasn't banned them from the park, it was banning them from being walk-ins. And
Then how do they get into the park?
they'll have to drive in and come to the gate. What they were doing is parking out on the road,
Yeah.
causing a traffic issue, so, and they were coming after the
What
place
if they
was
lived,
full.
were visiting friends? I mean, you could go on and create these
You can,
scenarios.
but I
where-
mean,
But you did, you prevented
was-
people from non-residents from walking into that park. And the deed doesn't allow you to do that. Because if it does allow you to do that, then why don't you just ban non-residents from going into the park?
that's probably a possibility.
But you
I mean,
understand that-
Again, as you said, we've already been going back and forth with the deed with legal counsel over it, so.
Well, I think you
And
maybe
it's
have to
been
go to
brought up
probate court and argue it out in probate.
That's why we have lawyers, they advise us on that, and they'll have to keep researching.
When was the last, if you don't mind me asking, when was the last review done by a lawyer?
Just talk to them, but
Well, I haven't got an answer back on
No.
the last package that
Yep.
gets sent, but
we just had another discussion not too long ago.
So there is a question regarding this still outstanding?
well, the
So then you
question,
shouldn't, excuse me, just, go ahead.
I was just the question always comes up about the agreement and the lease being nearing its end. So the discussion has been to try to get that motivated and started again. So there was a lot of research done by Karen in the office, and it's getting shipped to Laura to get an opinion as to where we go. Is it probate? Is it to the family? I don't know.
I guess I would recommend the board table this until you get more information. How many non-residents go in during it? Is that documented somewhere? How many non-residents?
Can you
are in?
answer that, Janine?
It is documented. I have last year's tallies.
Have you got any for this year?
I don't have any for this year. I think they're all from the
And what the revenue impact would be, if there is any revenue impact? I'm assuming if you increase the fees to this level, that, they're not gonna go in. You've accomplished your goal. I don't agree with the way you've done it. I think it should be again, a surcharge. It's not a fee. When you consider the definition of fee and how it should be calculated,
I mean, this is the hearing, they brought forth these fees, and that's what we're having the hearing.
I understand. Well, I'm just trying to encourage you to table it until you get maybe more
Well,
information and.
we'll, after we hear from anybody else, then
Yep,
we'll
I
make
know.
a
I'll let
decision.
everybody else speak.
Thank you, Dick.
Thanks, Dick. Anybody else?
Frank Campana, Quaker Street. This isn't the first time that non-resident fees have been discussed over the last X number of years. And the last person stole a little bit of my thunder, but if you'd allow me to reiterate from my perspective, I would encourage the board and Parks and Rec to really look at just having residents only, the town of Ware, into the park. Regardless of the fee that you might impose, and irrespective of the virus that's going around, there's only a limited space for cars in there. And what does the board or the committee, what do they consider a resident? And I don't know the answer, obviously, but is a person, and I have to pick Cold Springs Campground because I'm pretty sure they have 1 or 2 swimming pools even. I don't know about the other couple of campgrounds, maybe they do. So somebody that has a rental spot, for their camper, either, yearly or make, appointments for, long weekend. And I believe I heard correctly, well, I know I heard, whether it's correct or not, that Cold Springs, their pool is not open to the,
That's correct.
is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
They know,
It's open now.
it is now?
Now,
Okay, it wasn't.
right.
Okay, it was
Okay.
now.
I
It
think
is.
it's open now.
Yeah,
Stand corrected. They must have
well,
just opened it.
I do too. So, but, in light of it being, the pool's closed, do the people take the opportunity to go to Chase Park? And if they go there, are they considered residents?
We had that discussion. If they have a seasonal site there, so in other words, they leave their camper there, it's parked there year-round, 12 months out of the year, they get taxed on that. There's a tax bill from the town. So
Okay,
at that
so
point,
they're considered, yeah,
it's, can be
okay,
proved to be residents.
okay.
Even though they may live in another state, but they do have certain rights as taxpayers, so.
Okay. Okay, well, that clarifies for me. I was just considered, who they consider a resident. And again, I would encourage the board to really, vet out the possibility of residents only, strictly residents only. That's it, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
While it may be difficult to do, I think the board and our Park and Rec should give some consideration to people that are visiting, families here that are non-residents but may want to make use of the park. I don't know how that would be structured, but to me that should be a consideration. You have taxpayers in town. Have some family members come over, they want to get out to the beach. Are they going to be charged $40 to?
I can definitely answer those questions.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Janine?
Unless Frank, did you have more?
Well, just very quickly,
No, I don't have, I don't have enough.
Well, we have a time constraint. We've got a couple other hearings, so
Just to let you know that
we're late, but go ahead.
the last, comment that was made, I actually called Lisa to see how to handle it. We had our closest family with grandchildren lived in New York. Well, they stopped from on their way home a couple of weekends ago from the family camp up in Maine, and I thought to my wife, I said, maybe the kids want to go to, to the lake. Well, the grandchildren spent 2 weeks at Rangeley Lake, so I didn't think they wanted to go to the lake, but who knew? So I asked Lisa the best way, and I was looking at the resident fee, and now their vehicle is registered in New York. It's an SUV, so it accommodates all of us, the two extra, my wife and I. So I said, and Mary Jo and I, we're both elderly, and we're both veterans. So I said, what's the best way? I said, if we all want to travel in their SUV, I said, can we prove that, have the veterans card or whatever we need? And she said, you'd probably be safer in using two cars. The New Hampshire cars with my wife in one, that she can prove who, that falls under the resident parking. And, I can take a couple in the truck. So that's how we would handle it. We have the opportunity to use two registered vehicles, and we fall under the elderly and the veterans. So I didn't have a problem with, that fee, but, to this gentleman's question, how do you handle somebody that is visiting? And if the grandparents don't want to go, can they be sent with a, they're non-residents, so can they be sent with a, a notice of the grandparents being residents? So that's, I guess I'm not looking for an answer, but it's,
Well, I
a
could give you-
situation that could happen.
I could give you a brief one. It has created an issue up there, and it's been brought a couple of times to the attention because people say, I live there, but they can't furnish any proof, and part of the proof is you got to be a Ware resident or
Sure.
pay a tax plan.
Sure.
So I mean, to come up there and just say, I'm here visiting and I got property here and I want to go in. Well, from who? And I mean, they get convoluted answers. So it makes it difficult. And when you're dealing with young kids up there sometimes,
Yeah.
it's, in their teens, it makes it very difficult for that.
Right.
But
No, I understand. I've heard that discussed. I agree with you. But if the out-of-staters are visiting the parents,
yeah,
You know-
I mean, you had the best solution, and that's probably it. If you
I
get
know,
a
but not
couple
everybody,
vehicles,
well,
yeah.
you gotta be old to do it, right?
Well, I mean, even so, you go with the resident's car, they're just gonna give you the resident's fee, which would be
I see
$2, or whatever the fee is for that particular issue. $5. Anybody else? Okay, Janine, you have anything?
So to answer a few of the questions quickly,
Yeah.
I agree with Frank. I have plenty of people come from out of town and visit, and we share the cars that we have that already have stickers. as residents or would pay the resident fee, and our guests ride with us in the car, and it is the easiest. And the other question, as far as who's considered to actually be a resident as far as Cold Springs goes, Cold Springs has weekend campers, and that doesn't apply, but the seasonal campers, as Jack had pointed out, that have an actual tax bill at the bottom of the handout I list, car registration, driver's license, tax bill, current utility bill. So if you were renting an apartment and you have your utility bill, there's plenty of ways to show that you actually do live here. But if you're renting a cottage for a week, that doesn't apply because you don't have utility bill or tax bill. And the other question, as far as bringing it to the Board of Selectmen, bringing it to the Parks and Rec Board to consider as far as residents only. Been doing that for years. I've been at this podium with petitions and got it on the ballot that the town was in favor of, but we're patiently waiting to do it the right way. It's going to take a long time, because if you don't do it correctly, it's not going to work out properly. So, and to answer the question, last year, 2019, we opened up May 25th and closed October 12th. We had 411 non-resident cars, 50 non-resident boats. And that was, so that was last year. I don't have this year's numbers. I know they get turned into the town hall, but I haven't requested the tallies. So that, how many days is the lake open from May to Columbus Day? It's a really good question. It's 7 days a week from June 1st to about September 1st, so 90, about
No, it wouldn't
111?
Because when did school stop?
I think this year we're open about 111 days.
Last year?
This year, we're going to be open about 111 days.
So
So,
roughly the same.
yeah. And we had a couple days late this year. Yes, so that's a
You
good way to
also
look.
had no school, so you opened a little earlier.
The other point that was brought up, non-residents do incur more of a transaction than residents for arriving to the lake. Residents have a sticker on their pass and do not need any more processing once the sticker has been purchased for the season. A non-resident requires every single time they enter the park to be processed, even if they've been there 20 times. So there is a larger fee there for non-residents as
It
far as.
also includes that if they come in with a boat, they have to have the boat inspected to make sure it's not.
Yeah, and that residents or
foil.
non-residents, they all need the boat inspection. But as far as just apples to apples for a car just coming in, it's not the same if you have a pass already. You're checked in once. Yes, absolutely.
We know people that own cabins on the other side of the lake on Eastwood Drive. They reside year-round in New York City.
But they
But
pay,
they pay taxes on.
Right, if then
their
they,
tax
then
bill
they can,
applies.
then that tax bill applies.
they're contributing to the park
Correct.
with their
So
tax
what
bill.
I'm saying is they have multiple family members
Mhm.
that utilize that cabin. How would they have access to that tax bill unless it's left in a?
Wow.
Well, if they're,
Now what you're bordering on could be fraud, so I mean, they're
I'm-
not the taxpayer.
No, they all own it.
No, but
They
I
all own
mean,
it?
whoever is, whose name it is,
Can the
whoever's
ta-
name it is in the tax bill is the resident.
it's a trust. We have a tax record book. If they can show the trust record,
That
yes.
at the park, at the gate.
Yes.
Because I want you to be aware that that element exists in our town as
Right,
well.
well, we're
I'm
aware
sure
of
that they've seen it all at the gate.
There's a lot of scenarios that are going
I get surprised every week when I sit
I have a
in.
question. You indicated that it takes more time to process.
We're gonna have to.
More
make it
often
quick.
processing, more often processing.
Yeah, well, is that part of the justification for the 100% increase in fees?
It was just you had brought up one point, that it was the same to check in resident versus non-resident, and I was just addressing that that's not true.
Yeah, I was in the context of that.
Okay. Are we
I just answered.
pretty well done? Because we have another hearing waiting, so,
Thank you.
thank you, Janine. Okay. The board's consensus?
Close the hearing.
Oh, yeah, we'll close the hearing at this time. It is 10 after 7. And the board's feeling on this?
Well, I think we've gone back and forth again. I mean, my gut feeling is I'd like to keep it as where residents only. Unfortunately, I think that, as one of the speakers said, is the verbiage from the 1940s is a little different than today. And probably the intent was for where residents only. Unfortunately, that's not the way it's interpreted as written today. But again, I don't feel that the rate increase is too high, I'll say, but I'm on the fence as far as, it was brought up, the fact that we're not allowing walk-ins, which I can understand why there was discouragement of it, but it is not allowing,
Yeah, non-resident walk-ins.
not allowing public members into the park. So again, I would agree that that's not correct.
Yeah, whereas there are residents, it's a $2 walk-in fee. Non-residents,
Right.
it's.
Are not allowed to
not
walk in.
allowed to walk in.
Well, not everybody has a vehicle,
Yep.
so, put a sticker on their bicycle, I don't know, with a horse back, whatever. But again, I think that we should not have done that now, retrospect.
John?
I'm in agreement that the intent of the language back in the 40s appears to be that it should have been for where residents only, but unfortunately, you cannot prove intent with that. You can only prove what the words say. And until we can find somebody that is, I guess, a legal represent of that family, and they can give legal clarification, I don't think we can do anything about that. I am in favor of the price increase.
So you're in favor of the parking and the boat increase?
Correct.
Sherry?
I'm in favor of the increase. As far as that, no walk-ins for non-residents, yeah, they could let them walk in, I guess, but the problem is, once they post it, there's no parking on that road. They're gonna have to find a place to park their vehicle or bicycle
Well,
or.
I think to go back to the non-resident walk-ins, we're gonna have to go back to another hearing on that, because we've already decided on that, so that's not on the table for this hearing.
Yeah.
But I understand some of it, and both sides of it. Yeah, so you're in agreement of what the fee increase. Johnny? What?
I wasn't in agreement the last time that it was decreased from 50 to 40.
Yeah,
I'm really I'm still on the fence about the increase. I can see the intent wide, I just think it's hitting the non-residents above and beyond.
you know, it's funny, every, every day, sometimes every day, but at least every week, 2, 3, 4 times, I'm on the road, I drive down to the seacoast, and you drive up and down the strip, and one day you'll go down, it's $20 for parking. The next day, it's, when the weather's better, and it's $40, sometimes as much as $60 to go park in a parking lot. Even the town, it'll be $20 during one part, and you go by the next time, and it's, because there's more traffic, it's a weekend, geez, it's up to $50 to go into the town parking lot, $40, $50. And they're paying it. I mean, you go by, the lots are full constantly. Even before the pandemic, you go down there before. I understand part of it. Same thing with boats. Was it to put a boat in some of those places down there? It's $65 to put a boat in a boat ramp. I mean, and some of them are some of the smaller lakes and some of the rivers over there. I mean, they're private boat ramps. The only way you're going to get in there. Even the state one down at Hampton Beach, you pay a fee, and I can't remember what it is. It went up, what I was told, but I think it's something like $25 to put the boat in, resident or non-resident. So it's, they're all over the map, but I understand it, and I can understand the fact that we get inundated. Like I said, Glen Lake closed, and I know that brought an increase. Because a lot of people put their boats and went swimming at Glen Lake that were non-residents. They came from Manchester. I noticed the increase over the years with the closing of Daniels Lake, when they closed that to, having an open beach. So, I'm kind of, like I said, on the fence.
And I agree that, like you said, I understand the purpose of it.
Yep.
As far as,
And I don't disagree with it in its entirety.
but again, I agree with the purpose of it, but to be honest, I never kind of thought back to the weekday thing.
Yeah.
And I think if anybody's gonna have valid input, it'd be Mrs. Cowie, because she was my swim instructor back when I was just a tyke. So she's been around that lake for a good many years, so.
But I mean, the thing
so I
is
think-
maybe not
can I-
many, not many non-residents in
can I
there
talk?
during the week, are they?
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I think that I think it would be beneficial to find out how many people are going during the week that are non-resident, and do a little bit of statistical data before we raise these, and find out that, to Mr. Butt's point,
Yeah.
is there gonna be a financial impact to the negative to this, rather than what we're purposing to try and keep residents on the beach during the weekends. I think there's two sides to this, that's all.
You know, and the other side to that is, who do we have the greatest responsibility to, the residents, you know, so, I mean, so what is your idea, is what, to table this and to do
I
more
would-
research?
My idea would be to table it, till we get some more data.
And you want to make a motion to that?
Also moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a discussion first?
Let's go ahead for discussion.
How long are we gonna table it for, and what exactly are we gonna be seeking for information? And from who?
The information I would wanna see would be the weekday,
Tally for non-residents.
correct.
For what period? Just
Couple of
this
weeks?
year, couple
Three.
of
They
last
should have a tally for,
I would
up
think.
to
must
this-
know
present, I
already.
would say, correct?
I don't know how often the numbers get turned in, I'd have to look.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're looking for just a
assuming
couple of weeks
something-
information,
Well,
or are
you'd
you
have
looking
to
for
wait.
like the past year so you can see a longer?
Yeah,
Just because
I
this
mean,
past couple of weeks have been really hot.
I
so.
guess as much as reasonably accessible, I'll
Okay.
say.
Whatever they've collected this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, the last year would be a good numbers.
She has the,
Last year would be good numbers, I think.
Okay.
I'm very torn
I,
as far as
I understand. I just
statistical.
want clarification as to
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
postponing, and are we going to postpone until next year, or just for
No.
a month, or what's
And I
what's
think at
your
the same
thought?
token, we can't drop off the fact of trying to get what public is. I mean, I know we've gone round and round with our attorney, but to see what process it would take to put clarification on the books, whether it's to get a hold of the family, because again, there's a deed and it's a lease and all that, but to see what we need to do to get that specific line clarified between the town, the residents, and the.
well, that may be
Chase
that
family.
may be a long time, but as far as the research on the other part, as far as residents and
Right.
non-residents, do you have some of that now from last year?
Last
Beth
daily,
has
like,
one.
no, I haven't, no, what I get
Total.
tallied in is well, I get it per week, but I can't see Saturday versus Tuesday.
Is that information kept
I get a week
Beth
tally.
does it.
Beth does
I don't know
it.
how she sorts it.
out of
though.
state versus
Probably.
Non-resident versus resident?
Kristen said we turn it in on Tuesdays and Fridays,
Okay.
whether they were senior, veteran, non-resident, resident,
Okay.
boat, car, all that.
Okay.
So I have a lot of line items.
It's probably
I
on the
just don't
cashier
know
tape,
if
right?
it's per day or if she just does a week tally. Mine from last year I have is a 1 week time period.
Okay.
So I can just, but
Well,
I don't
but-
know if she just prints that because it's easier than having 47 pages. Oh, wait,
Well, I
let me
would-
look, hold on a second. Yeah, it is, it's by the week. So it goes the 3rd to the 9th, the 10th to the 16th, the 17th to the 23rd, so I
If we're
can't
gonna table it,
differentiate.
if we're gonna have a hearing again, we have to give.
Do we
plenty
have to have a
notice.
public hearing again?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
I would say so,
Because eventually you're still gonna increase the number.
yeah, or increase,
Or
do something
keep it the
with
same.
Well, you don't
the
have to put it in the newspaper again.
No,
You have to put it on your agenda,
Right,
yes.
which I would plan, yeah.
so.
But again, I want more data
Continue it
before
till
we,
the 17th, is that the next meeting?
could
Not next
theoretically
week, but the week
bite
after.
the hand that feeds us.
Or
Next 17th is next,
2 weeks.
yep. 3 weeks from now, but yeah.
Yeah, we have 2 meetings from now.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe if you guys can keep stats for the weeks, you know,
We have it all.
So,
It's all up there at the gatehouse. It would be done
It's mid-season.
on daily report.
so the 17th, we wanna revisit it again?
I wondered, is there gonna even be a point to revisiting it this season? Why not just revisit it during the winter?
Season's over
Yep,
in
the
6 weeks
season's
after
over
that,
6
yeah.
weeks.
Actually, you won't, you go to weekends, you go back to weekends when school
September.
starts,
That's
September,
September.
which is August 26th,
Yeah.
or
We're pushing
29th.
school back till September 9th, I believe.
Oh, no, okay, now they push it.
Schools pushed back to
Yep.
September 9th?
If we postpone it until after the season ends, that just gives us more time to get more accurate information and get
Okay.
legal thought.
Then we could have both years' information too.
Yep. So,
Okay.
let's postpone it to,
September.
pretty soon we're gonna be a
I would,
budget season.
I would wanna discuss it before budget season, but after season
End
close.
of, sometime in the end of September then.
Into September, early October.
I think that'd be the best.
Season closes Columbus Day,
Oh, I do.
So it'd have to be after
but you're
that.
only on weekends at that point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't,
Probably.
So at that point, we should be able to tally up some data, I
When do,
think.
when do we start, budget stuff?
when we feel like it.
Yeah, no, probably starting to get ready for November.
We're probably
October.
looking October-ish.
October.
So what about postponing this until first meeting in October, or whatever date that is,
Fine.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
I'm good.
to gather enough information
Okay.
from everybody?
Okay,
I'll amend my motion to that.
okay. All those in
Second.
favor? Second?
Wait a minute.
Second,
Okay.
Oh, I'm just amending it to table it
Yeah.
to whatever date John just said.
October 1st.
I believe it was seconded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, John, oh.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so now.
We'll
part-
revisit it in
part two,
October.
We're a bit late.
Part two.
Okay, the other part of the public hearing, which we're running behind on, is the reduce the speed limit on Rockland Road from 35 to 30. Public meeting is open, and anybody have any comments?
Again, Frank Campana, Quaker Street. The only reason I'm able to comment, because I sat through, I think, the last meeting, two meetings, discussed that. And it seemed to be a sticking point with the selectmen. I guess there were two issues, speed and the amount of traffic. Am I correct? Both speed and traffic, for the people that were concerned?
The comment was mostly for they brought up traffic, but we can't really address that, but the speed. They wanted the speed reduced, so they were speeders, so.
Right, okay. So just keying in on the speed, the town just became the owner of a speed trailer. Does the speed trailer, probably the newer ones do, but the one that we have, does it actually record a speed? Not specific to a car, but if it's out there for, an 8-hour day, and there were 20 cars that go by and/or trucks, it wouldn't distinguish.
I believe it's just information display only.
I mean,
Okay.
there's ways to do that. I think, was it Southern New Hampshire Planning has a,
We don't do speed. They
has
don't
a-
do
they have a,
traffic
they have
counts.
a, they have a counter that they could tell you, they put two of those pipe, those rubber tubes out, and it calculates the speed between one and
Okay,
so it trips, and the next one trips.
but does it actually record, so
It
does it
actually
record
records
the
it,
speed?
yeah.
Okay, so again, it seemed to be with the board, the sticking point was, you don't know how fast the vehicles are going. And probably, I'm not speaking for or against, of course, but probably ought to get, if that's a concern, get the right piece of equipment that'll give you that information. And that puts it to bed, and you can maybe determine a, course of action after that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Anybody else? There's nobody else, then I'll close the hearing. It is, 7:25.
I agree with Frank, we need more information.
I was totally in favor of tabling it, because we don't have enough information. There's been a traffic count done out there for traffic, and the traffic was between that intersection and then going out onto Route 77, but that was for a specific reason, for
Yeah.
building going up there on that corner opposite the entrance to the.
Yeah, they did not address speed at all.
No, it did not address speed. And the concern was also, has been brought up about no-through trucking, and all the signs on both ends of that for no-through trucking.
Correct.
And that was also brought up at the, part of the conditions for that building, was that they can't go out of that driveway and turn right to go down Rockland Road, they gotta turn left and go out onto. But as far as the speed, we don't have enough information on that road to even make a any type of.
So why would you
judgment.
table it?
So I think we'll just table it until we either decide to go get a
Well, we want to just vote against it.
calendar, yeah. Or we can vote against it, so. if you,
For lack of
entertain a motion.
information, I make a motion that we do not.
I'll second it. Like I was gonna say last week, I just, again, there's not enough information
No.
supporting this, so I'll second it.
All those in, oh, we have one more comment. The hearing's closed, but I'll let you do it, Frank.
I didn't hear you close the
Yeah, we already closed at 7:25, but go ahead. You got
okay.
one quick comment.
I do. And as far as the speed trailer, it might be good, the appropriate piece of equipment, it might be good to put it on, the uphill side and, for several days, and then the downhill side. Most people, gain a little bit of speed going downhill. So, maybe that'll be help. Don't put it just on the upside.
We'll bring it up to the police chief and see what he can do.
Well, okay.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I guess it's unanimous, okay. Okay, now we're on to the next public hearing, to hear public testimony and comment regarding amending the building ordinance in regard to permit fee schedule to define and distinguish cost difference of finished gross floor area from the unfinished gross area.
Is there any documentation for us on this? Because I don't know what kind of fee structure is being increased.
Is,
So this is, didn't I forward this out? to you?
No.
yeah.
No.
It's current fee for new construction, moving or renovating structures, and for demolition of all is based on a total square footage of finished area at 50 cents. The base application fee for all permits is 50. And the planning board held a public hearing and made the recommendation to amend the schedule to, for new construction, moving or renovating structures, and for demolition of all or part of the structures, is based on the gross insulated floor area at 50 cents per square foot, and other areas at 25 cents per square foot. The purpose of the recommendation is to define and distinguish the cost difference of gross finished and unfinished areas. So right now, it's a determination is made based on the finished area at 50 cents.
If it, yeah, and.
And it's a
It
determination.
says, and it says insulated, that's, so if you don't insulate part of it, you get the lesser
Quarter.
rate.
So what,
Because you're gonna use it when you heat.
what drove this to manifest?
And the
I
biggest,
think there's a challenge of when you talk about finished versus
there
unfinished.
was a challenge. Also, there was nothing written.
I'm gonna hand you around the building packet that I got Friday.
There's also nothing
Of
in there about
information that
unfinished.
shows how things are calculated, which I honestly can't follow personally, so. And there's some, we used to do the valuation times $6. And then it got moved to the 50 cents. And then the 50 cents is now a determination is being made as to what's finished and what's not finished.
And there was a,
So the definition of finished is insulated.
well,
Now they're using the word insulated.
the other part of that hearing is that, and part of the contention is that somebody contested the fact that they were getting 50 cents for a finished area. So if you had an attic, a second floor that you weren't gonna finish, it was 25 cents a square foot. And then they said, well, where is that? Where does it show that? Or I've got a closet that's not finished, so there's,
So that's what the calculation is trying to take out the closets and trying to, instead of doing the flat gross 28 by 36 times 50 cents,
and my feeling was at the time at the hearing, and I brought it up, and it was kind of, and I don't understand why. It's less convoluted if you'd have one flat fee for all of it. So I was looking at instead of 25 cents a square foot or 50 cents a square foot, and trying to figure out which is which in two different numbers, just make it all blanket one fee of, say, and I recommended 35 cents a square foot for it all, for the gross area.
What's the potential revenue loss for this fee drop?
The fee drop? What do you mean? Right now, I don't think there's gonna be that much of a revenue loss, but if you did it at one flat fee, we
30.
calculated with 35 cents, it's gonna drop only like a couple $100.
And that's for the building permit fee?
Yeah,
I think this on here on the front, Ricky.
yeah,
I think what she was trying.
the permit fee. And then you have other permits that you pull for
Right.
versus
electrical, which is separate,
attached fee.
plumbing is separate,
So if you
and
took
mechanical
this
is separate.
Times
So
Plumbing
50 or
50
25.
cents.
the next question I'm gonna
Plumbing and
have,
electrical are next, where they're
Well, no, they're gonna go, now they're gonna all
Oh,
go
they're gonna
be
change that.
six.
so my next question is when it comes to being insulated, attic space. The attic is insulated from the living space to the top.
But it's
Where's-
not livable.
Well,
Well, that's my question.
maybe.
Where are you
Some
considering
houses are maybe.
insulated? Are you just talking, say
That's,
it's,
again,
So if it's insulated and sheet rocked, if it's finished, it's gotta have a floor in
but
it.
that's the thing, we're not talking finished, it says insulated, and that's my sticking point. What is the definition of
That's right.
insulated?
put insulation down.
Where?
So if
Anywhere,
you
I
insulated
guess.
the attic, it's
It's
finished.
considered insulated.
You've
So you-
insulated the floor, but not the actual
It doesn't
rafters.
say that, it says insulated.
And that's where I'm getting
That's what
stuck.
it's saying, I agree,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that's,
Okay.
that's where it gets kinda, that's what I'm saying, if you take this.
I don't think that's
Whatever your
clear
gross
enough.
square footage, I mean, and I also said that, you know, I remember building a house years ago, and you'd go get the permit, you'd pull a building permit for $250, and that was your building permit, and if you pull an electrical permit, you paid a little more for that, I mean, it's $25 for an electrical permit at the time. But they turn around and it's like, okay, they worried about the rest of it when they came and assessed your house. You know, the town picked up the difference, so,
That would be a lot simpler if it was one flat piece.
That's why-
straight across.
Which
That's
it is
what I said.
currently, correct?
no, it is not.
It's not
It's
50
kind of,
cents?
it's kind of convoluted, because they were still charging 25 cents for unfinished areas, and that's what brought some of this to a head.
All right.
I think that, you know, like I said, that's why I said, well, I think cut the difference between 25 and 50 and make it 35. You're not, you know, are we in that business to make revenue off of it? You know, like, we're really gonna make revenue, or are we
No, but
to
that'll be
cover?
simple.
Are we in there to make it simple and cover a certain amount of costs? You know, you have inspections and everything else that's added with it, so.
You want to see this, John? Can I sit down to show you, please?
You know, that was my opinion of it, but
See what the public says.
I did that, so. I will now open it up to public comment. Janine?
Janine Lynch, Flanders Memorial Road. I'd almost feel harassed if I had to fill my building permit out that. No, just having. I mean, you mentioned closets and things like that, and it's just building a house. It's like I don't insulate in between every single floor, every single closet wall, but it's in an insulated envelope.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that is not enough information, because it's like, well, technically my closet's not insulated, but it's inside an insulated envelope. It's a heated space. I mean, you could almost go to heated space. You might insulate your attic, but you're not going to heat it. So is it heated space? You know, there's so many different choices that you could use for words, but insulated just seems to be greatly lacking. I agree.
Or leaves an even bigger
Question.
open to interpretation.
Absolutely.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You just got done finishing your house or doing your house.
Almost.
So when you got your building permit, you paid 50 cents a foot?
I told how, I thought we just, well, I filled out all the form as far as the square footage of the entire house. I didn't, at each level, each floor, and then how much it was going to cost me to build it, my anticipated building costs. So I'm not sure how they calculated. I didn't have to break down unfinished or finished space. I just told them the total square footage. And it may have been stated livable, it's been a year or two. So it might have been livable space. I'd have to look.
Okay, did you also pay for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing?
I
each
only
time?
had to pay for mechanical permit for propane work.
Okay.
And for anything that the fire chief had to do. Plumbing and electrical were in the large scale of the building permit, as with foundation, that anytime Kyle or Chip came out, it was one fee, but if I saw someone else, as in chief, it was another fee.
Okay. I was just, yeah, I know you just got done, so.
Anybody else? Tom?
I'm not speaking with any expertise. I just think keeping it as simple as possible for the
Could you name
residents.
and address, please?
Yes.
Oh, Tom Clow, 125 Concord Stage Road, where, keeping it as straightforward and simple for the person going in for the permit makes a lot of sense, whether it's finding an average or just leaving it like it is or whatever, but trying to negotiate what's finished, what's insulated, what's heated, whatever, to me, just complicates the issue for the resident.
I think some of it came about, Tom, when you were here, that you used to pay $6 for evaluation. So today, they're getting, $500,000 for a house, but when you come in, you ask for the estimated cost, and it says $200,000 or $250, when you turn around and sell it for $550 or $625, that's where things kind of, I think, went to the
Yeah.
other way of trying to do
Fell
it by
off the
square
rails.
footage versus somebody's valuation.
But the cost of your home, or your value of your home, hopefully is always gonna be going up.
Yeah, and again,
Build it for 200,000 and in 25, 30 years, it's gone up 50,000 or whatever, some number.
I don't think we should be going after people to get, to be exorbitant. They're gonna get it picked up on the other end in their evaluation of their house when come tax time, so,
For my point, keep it simple.
yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Anybody else? With that, I will close the hearing at, was it 7:35, 7:40. What's the board's feeling on it?
I think that's really
I think it's
hard
convoluted.
to
I'm very
follow.
confused, so I can't vote either way.
Yep. Oh, I'm just asking your opinion on this.
I think it
Very
should be
confused.
simple,
Yeah.
if it's $250 or $300 or whatever for a permit, and then you've got additional for electrical, like, that's the way it's been forever. I mean,
This request
I think
came
come
from
up
the
with a
planning
number
board?
that's fair, and
It came from the
Planning board recommended it.
planning board recommended it. I wasn't there for that hearing, I was working, but I wouldn't have voted for it that way.
I don't think that's good.
Like I said, I made that recommendation a couple different times, that it just be a flat 35 cents a square foot, and if you wanted that, then you charge, for each additional permit,
I'd be more in favor of a flat fee than.
Yeah,
than-
pay, because you're gonna have an
Find
electrician
ways
gonna
to
come in and
insulate
pull the permit, or you're gonna have to have the plumber come in and pull the permit, and then the electric, the mechanical for your furnace or whatever is gonna be.
Can we ask the planning board chair to come in and explain his request?
I already spoke to him, and,
He wasn't coming tonight.
no, he wasn't coming tonight, so, but we can send it back to have him retune it. I think,
Well,
I think it would
I-
have to go to the whole board.
I'd like to hear why they're doing it. A little bit better of an explanation.
Because they were according to our building department, the fees were all over the place. And if you look at some of the stuff, they are. They're trying to get it down to one thing, and there was a contention over, they'd been charging finished and unfinished, and what's your definition of unfinished? And it's not a finished space, how come I'm getting charged for this, and so forth. So I think that they wanted to try and.
There's challenges about finished versus unfinished,
Finished
insulated versus not insulated.
Well, I think with the insulated thing, I think we've made no progress.
I think it's thrown backwards.
Yeah,
So I think it needs to be reworked myself.
Yeah. So I
Make a
think,
motion, we send this back to planning board.
second. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving right along, the next public hearing is to hear public testimony and comment regarding the placement of no parking, towing enforced signs on Reservoir Drive on both sides of Chase Park. I will open up this public hearing, and it is 7:43. Anybody have any comments, questions? No? Oh, Frank?
We got one contestant.
Yeah.
It's more of a comment and question combined. This is going to be, I don't think I have a problem with, no parking signs, to be sure. It's a narrow road anyway, not telling you guys anything new. But my concern is this may be an opportunity for the police department to, in a sense, have it become a moneymaker for them. I don't know if they write tickets. I don't know where the money goes.
Goes into the general fund.
Okay, I didn't know if the state
They
took.
come to us.
Comes to us.
Comes
Yeah,
to us
no, it
in the
comes to
general
us. It
fund.
goes in the general fund.
Okay, so,
Unless,
make my statement to say, could be an opportunity to be a moneymaker, could be an opportunity for the police to, again, I'm not against it, but, the repercussions of how to manage it. It could be an opportunity for the cops to spend, an excess amount of time patrolling a mile of road, you know, just so that they can write tickets, as opposed to being everywhere else in the town. So that's my concern. Again, I'm not against it, you know, but, you know, it can have some type of ramifications for the police department. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Tom?
I'm not against the no parking signs, it's just, I'm sure that there's some parameters as far as how many signs and how far apart. So, you know, I would hate to see so many signs there look ridiculous. I think of in front of the town hall at one time, the whole front of the town hall, like every 5 feet, there was a no parking sign. It looked really ridiculous. And, you know, we got rid of most of them, except for a couple, and they did the trick. People don't park there. 2 signs did the job, or whatever it is. So there must be some standard for how far apart the sign should be for no parking. I think we should stick to that standard.
There is a
not
standard,
do it and have so many signs, it looks ridiculous, you know. Other than that, I'm not
Just
opposed.
so you know in your comment, yes, they are statutorily required to put the signs in so many spaces. They can't put them on top of each other. They have to be spread out to be able to be enforced properly. Again, you know, the comment was made by the previous person that, yeah, the money comes back to the general fund unless they don't pay the ticket. If they decide to default the ticket, then it ends up in the Goffstown District Court, and it could be the suspension of the person's driver's license or registration. There's all types of but no, the money goes, and the question brought up, it probably should have been explained, that part of this isn't for the cops to go down there and write tickets. They don't want to really go down there and write tickets if they don't have to, but the issue has been that people have parked so much out there, they can't get, if they had to, they couldn't get the ambulance or the piece of apparatus down there. They're parking on both sides of the road to try and get into the park. Parking boat trailers and everything else. And there's been signs there, but they're dilapidated and missing, and you can't read them. So after last year's extravaganza with the parking problem down there all the way down past the dam, it's, I guess we have to do something to
It makes sense.
do it. So,
Thanks, Tom.
Frank?
Frank Campion on Quaker Street again. I thought I had this pretty well thought out, but would it be feasible to have the no parking signs there for a certain time of year? Like, say for, you know, when the lake is open? Because I think of, I don't go drive that way too often, but I see many times, to me, the only place you can park is across the street from the dam. About it. But I've seen people swimming there. You know, if they want to go swimming in September or October, you know, for a few hours, there's a no parking sign, bang, they're going to get a ticket. Okay? I've seen people there with kids fishing at the foot of the dam, on the lakeside, at the dam.
Which is illegal.
Pardon me?
Fishing game laws, it's illegal.
Illegal.
Okay, well, that may be another issue.
Yeah,
you know.
fishing game.
That's from
Okay.
fishing game, there's nothing to do with
Okay.
us.
Yeah.
So, but still, if I want to take the grandkids fishing there, I'll run the risk of fishing game will see me.
Sure.
Okay, and pinch me, okay? But I wouldn't want to necessarily see a town cop do that if they want to go ice fishing. Well, they don't go ice fishing next to the dam. There's not much ice there.
Right, and we usually open the gate for the ice fishers in the
Yep.
in the winter.
Yeah, I guess, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, I guess my bigger issue is, off-season, for swimming. If somebody wants to park there and just drop a fish line. So I don't know if it's practical to have them. I know your signs are already made, but maybe they could come down at that time of the year. When it gets after swimming and before ice, maybe you could take them down. And then just see how it goes. If it is still a problem. I mean, that's what you're trying to control, is people's, at the lake, and swimming.
Well, not just that, but I mean parking in general. I mean, if they park out there, they're partially out into the paved part of the roadway. I mean, it's still,
Maybe, yeah.
that road's narrow enough. People, and at times, they fly through there. And, somebody's parking in that spot, it just creates more of a hazard. And I know last year,
Well, I'll
that
have
was
to
the big
travel that
issue.
again, I think, and you know it well enough, that it's about the only cutoff is where the dam is.
Yeah.
Other than that, people stairs ways, live up on the hill, they come right down to the road, no place parking there. But anyway, that, just maybe a consideration.
Okay.
Just post the signs. It's
Seasonally.
worst, yeah, seasonally, I'm gonna say the worst time of the year.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, at that point, I will close the hearing, and it is at 7:50. Yeah, the little glare on that clock face. What's the board's opinion?
So, I guess I would want to see, personally, I'd want to see in the motion, a to and from locations, as far as where the signs are gonna start on the north side of the park
Yeah.
to where they're going to terminate on the south side of the park.
How many signs did we order?
25.
25.
25.
And they have to be placed, what, every 75 feet, is that what I remember?
I think something like that, 60 feet or 75 feet. Yeah, they have,
I thought it was
they
75.
they have a national traffic standard, though, which is supposed to
Okay.
be.
I would just want to see the start spot and the termination spot, that's all.
So would you want it equal from Chase Park down one way and down the other?
I don't believe so. I don't, I mean, I haven't been down there in the peak, so I don't know where the problem starts, per se, from the north to where it ends in the
They
south.
park up towards Waterman Court
Right.
on
So-
both sides.
So do you have to go up to
And-
Cranny Hill?
and then
or
they
do you
would-
have to,
Well, then they would park, and they park down towards the dam, so I
so did we
mean,
not get enough signs?
well, I think, you gotta use a little sense. Every 75 feet's a pretty good, and you're only gonna get one set of signs, according to the ones that we had made, if you remember, said,
Does it say both sides?
no parking either side.
Okay.
So you're gonna put them on the,
No,
On the lake side?
on the lakeside.
no, the way I understood it, he was looking at putting them on the inbound side, so in other words, the opposite the lake side of the road.
I think the idea was so it didn't block a view or
Yeah,
something
so-
like that.
Because there's trees in there too, in some of the places they're gonna put, and you look at the signs that are there now, you can't see some of them because of the
Fine.
foliage.
But I would want it defined when we're gonna say we're gonna put signs up, where we're gonna put them. As far as, not, obviously, we don't have to say we're gonna put, 80, 30 signs up, and this is A, B coordinates, but is it gonna be from Waterman down to the dam, or is it gonna be
Yeah.
from Cranny Hill to the dam? Do we have enough signs to do Cranny Hill to the dam?
No,
I don't know.
originally it's somewhere just below Waterman down towards the dam, is the way I understood it. We
Waterman Road
discussed
you're
it before.
talking?
Waterman Road, yeah.
I just want it defined, that's all. I wanna see that in the motion. I don't have a problem with it, I think it's 100% legit of, making sure that with everybody parking on the side of the road, that we can still get emergency services passed. I completely agree, I just make sure that,
Where were the
Parameters
where were the
defined.
biggest problems last year, or in the past years?
Just above the gate towards Waterman Road, all the way down
All the way to the dam.
Dam, I mean, and they were parked on both sides,
Trailers.
with boat trailers, with.
So it's pretty much from Waterman down towards the dam. So
Yeah,
not all the way,
that's the
not all the
big-
way up
that's-
towards Cranny.
No, it's the heaviest concentration.
And if I remember right, there's also more room on heading up towards past Waterman on both sides of the road for if somebody wanted to park.
Yeah.
Not as many steep, yeah.
It's not as narrow.
steep, right?
Not as steep and not as narrow. But,
so.
yeah. So, if you wanna make a motion to that effect, I'll entertain it.
But I don't know if we have enough signs to do every 75
Well-
feet.
Do what we can cover. I mean, that's what we ordered, was that many.
Yeah.
No,
What? No, originally there was
you wanted 40 is what
the
said covered
chief
from
wanted said
what he
40.
talked about road to road.
so, and,
So you ordered 25.
5 to cover the distance from just above the gate towards Waterman down towards the dam, so
And I
that's,
think there's a place or two where it's so steep that a car, couldn't
Yeah.
spread it out.
but they, you know,
That's over a third of a mile,
Yeah,
if they're 75 feet apart with 25 signs.
yeah.
Almost 2,000 feet.
Move to install the no parking signs, towing enforced on Reservoir Drive, approximately from Waterman south towards the dam until we run out of signs.
Second.
As spaced by
That's
whatever.
spaced by National
Statutory,
Traffic Code.
yeah, by National Traffic statutorily. Is there a second?
Effective when? As soon as possible.
Yeah.
As soon as
What-
reasonably
And
possible.
are we gonna go seasonal or no?
I don't think we have, I don't think, statutorily, I don't think we can.
We can't?
You know, there's other things, the state statutes that cover the fact of stopping, standing, or parking on the paved portion of the roadway, period. Now, I mean, you're supposed to be lit unless it's an emergency. You know, if you're standing there parking and it's a, you know, there's a whole national traffic standard, that we adopted. And, you know, we have to follow that, and I don't think there's anything seasonal. I don't think we have the right to
Put a
just do it.
garbage bag over it if we felt like it.
What's
If you
that?
vote to put a garbage bag over it,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have those boys put those in and take them out.
No, they're not
No,
gonna do
Take
that.
them up and put them down, no.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Okay. I guess we'll give the marching orders to the highway department and the police chief,
He's on vacation.
or the police department then.
Yeah.
Okay. And,
I think you have a manifest.
yes, I
there,
do, I
don't
was just looking for it, and we do, we have the manifest. To vote to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated July 30th, 2020, as included in the following manifests. Payroll manifests, $70,949.42 for weekly and monthly payroll. Accounts payable manifest for $298,374.21, for a total of $369,323.63. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
The only thing is, I don't have any correspondence, but at the end, could we have a non-public?
Okay.
Um,
Under,
A and C?
okay. If there's nothing else,
I think I'd like one under C also.
so there'll be two, okay. And if there's nothing else,
Mine will be brief.
then I make a motion, we adjourn.
No.
No going to non-public.
Okay, we're going non-public.
Don't we have to adjourn first, then go into non-public? No, okay, make a motion.
Then we'll adjourn.
I don't know, I get it backwards sometimes.
We're gonna adjourn
It's been a
after.
long day. Make a motion that we go into non-public under RSA 91A 3, Roman numeral 2, A and C. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 The
Okay.
adjourn after.